Welcome you all to this class on HSC first paper English. Dear students, in today's class I will discuss assignment 2, and the assignment is on difference between online class and in-campus class. So this is an essay, you all know. So today's class is basically focused on the essay difference between online class and in-campus class. So this is your second assignment in English, and you all know that you will have to write many assignments, and the cover page is available on the website of Rajshahi College, and you can collect the cover page from there. And the cover page will be same for all the subjects, and you have to attach the cover page in each assignment, and only the title will be different, the date will be different, and these things will be different. Otherwise the format will remain same. So if you look, or if you observe the notice that is supplied by the DG office, you will observe certain things which are important for the students to understand as well. So when an assignment is given, there are some objectives regarding the assignment, that if the students they fulfill the assignment, they prepare the assignment, so what will they learn from that assignment? So there are some goals and objectives behind each assignment. So once you complete the assignment, so you are supposed to learn certain things, and if there is no target, if there is no objective and goal behind assignment or behind any report writing, then it becomes fruitless. So topic and learning outcome, it says write about two different types of learning patterns. So what will you learn after completing this assignment? And I want to show you again what is the assignment. The assignment is an essay. And what is the title of the essay? The title of the essay is Difference Between Online Class and In-Campus Class. Now, what is important that to know, to understand, that there are different types of essays and there are different types of paragraphs, which I discussed in the previous classes. So I hope that you can still remember those things. You know that there are different types of essays. There can be descriptive essay, there can be narrative essay, expository essay, there can be comparative contrast essay. There are different argumentative essays, so there can be different types of essays, there can be different types of paragraphs. And naturally, there are different ways to write those different types of essays. So what kind of essay is this? You can term this as a kind of essay, comparison contrast essay, or simply contrast essay. Because look at the title, difference between online class and in-campus class. So obviously, even when there are differences between two ideas, two concepts, or two types of things, still there is the scope of comparison. Unless you compare these two ideas or two different types of classes, you cannot find the contrast. So contrast essay or comparison contrast essay are almost same, very close. In a contrast essay, basically the essay is focused on the contrast between two things or two aspects. In a comparison contrast essay, the essay is focused on both comparison and contrast, both points dealing with comparison and points dealing with contrast. So this essay, you can either term it as a contrast essay, or you can also term it as a comparison contrast essay. So naturally, when you are writing this essay, when you are preparing your assignment, so you have to keep it in your mind that you will basically show the differences between these two types of classes. I'm going again back to the previous slide. Difference between online class and in-campus class. So you all understand that what is online class by this time and what is in-campus class. I will obviously discuss the differences between these two types of classes, but by this time, meanwhile, you all understand, because you all know that we are going through the pandemic situation. So with the emergence of pandemic situation, different types of online classes have also emerged, and we are using different platforms. We are using Zoom. We are using Facebook pages, and we are using different types of platforms in order to, deliver our online classes. Now, topic and learning outcome, that is the target of the students, that what they will learn after preparing the, assignment. They will write about two different types of learning patterns. They will learn two different types of learning patterns. What are the two different types of learning patterns? One, learning patterns you learned or you experienced when you participated in the what we are saying in campus class, or which is popularly known, or which is popularly addressed nowadays, is offline class. So offline class is colloquial. Offline class is not formal English. That's why in campus class this phrase has been used. So in campus class, that means the classes that you participated physically, you were physically present in those classes. We are missing those classes right now. We are rather doing online classes right now. So in campus class, it indicates the classes that we took or you participated when there was no pandemic in this world before 2020. And after that, when pandemic started, we shifted towards online classes. So obviously, there are differences between in-campus class, or classes that you participated physically and your teachers were physically present in the classroom. And there are obviously, some new aspects we have witnessed, we have observed regarding online classes. So you will learn, when you will prepare the assignment, you will learn definitely two things. You will learn, you didn't have any idea about online classes. I also didn't have any ideas about online classes. I had scanty ideas. But once we started online classes, once the students also started participating in the online classes using different platforms, I have already said, and what did we observe? We observed that there are certain differences between these two types of classes. So between these two types of patterns and style. So you will learn when you will prepare the assignment. You will learn what are the positive sides of in-campus class. What are the positive sides? What are the strengths of in-campus class? Basically, there are hardly any negative side or any drawback in in-campus class, or popularly known you say offline class. There is hardly any weakness, because that is popularly what we understand class is. On the other hand, you will also learn when you will write. You have got some ideas which comes haphazardly in your mind, which comes in a rough manner, not in an organized manner in your mind. So once you start writing these things, you will start understanding that obviously there are some important factors, there are some important points regarding these two types of learning patterns. You are learning online. You are learning through Facebook page. We are using Facebook page as platform. We are using Zoom as platform, Google Classroom as a platform. So definitely, the students have also learned to adjust with this changed situation using the available online platforms. And can these platforms fulfill the desire of the students? Can these platforms be alternative to in-campus classes, or classes that we participated physically? So still, there is one important factor, that over the last 1.5 years, we have come to understand that despite being absent in the classroom, despite, though we are not present physically, though we are not participating in the class face to face, I mean, teachers and students, still that we can raise platforms using online, using the strength of online. Not we should not claim that this is an alternative to in-campus class, but still we can exploit, we can use, we can utilize online in order to conduct the classes, and to it can be also beneficial to the students. We don't have any alternative right now except using these platforms. So these two type of learning patterns, you will learn, you will understand, and you will focus more when you will prepare the assignment. We'll be able to use contrasting sentence connectors and cohesive device. This is very important. When I told you at the very beginning that this particular assignment is focused on, contrast type of essay. Basically, there is comparison, but basically it leads to contrast. And you will understand that how you can prepare, or how you can make, or how you can contrast two opposite things. What are the ways? What is the style? What kind of connectors? What is connector, but although, however, apart from, moreover, besides, again, so, that is why. So these are the connectors. What are the function of the connectors? The functions of the connectors are to connect sentences, clauses. Basically, we talk about the clauses, and you can also use sentences. Connectors are also used to connect sentences as well. So when you are writing descriptive type of essay, when you are writing narrative type of essay, when you are writing expository type of essay, when you are writing argumentative type of essay, and when you are writing contrast type of essay, there are, necessity of different types of connectors. You understand? Connectors are very important. Why connectors are important? Because you have to maintain the coherence or the organization of the essay. So when you maintain the organization of the essay, you need the help of connectors. When you are comparing, you are using connectors like similarly, at the same time. But when you are writing a contrast type of essay, you have to use connectors like on the other hand, however. So, so you can easily understand that when you will write contrast type of essay, you will have command over the use of connectors which are necessary to identify and to indicate contrast between two opposite things or opposite issues. We'll be able to use references of personal experience. So, you will also, when you will prepare this assignment, you will also understand, and you will also get the opportunity to express your personal experiences, that when you are participating in the online classes, so what kind of experience you are having. Do you find difference between in-campus class and online class? Obviously you find. So do you like online classes, or what are the weaknesses you experience in the online classes? Or are the online classes interactive? Can the students interact with the teachers directly? Or which platform is more effective? uh, I'm talking about online classes. So these are the, and did you get enjoyment, or are you missing the real classroom? This is a kind of, virtual classroom. So can the virtual classroom be an alternative to the real classroom? So what about your experiences? Are you enjoying these sort of classes, or are you waiting for the classes to participate physically, face to face with teachers? So these sort of things you will also learn when you will prepare this assignment. So this is the target. These are the targets. These are the objectives of this particular assignment that the students are expected to fulfill. Learning outcomes stresses on both matter and manner. So I added this point. This point is not given in the original document. I just added it in order to share with you. Learning outcomes stresses on both matter and manner. So you will, when you will prepare this assignment, you will learn different types of aspects about in-campus classroom and online classroom. At the same time, you will also learn how to write a contrast essay, or how to write comparison contrast essay. So when you will prepare this assignment, you will both learn the issues regarding online class and in-campus class, and the style of writing a comparative contrast essay. Now, these are also the instructions. The instructions go write within 300 words. So when you will write this essay, you will write it within 300 words. So this length is very important to understand. So you are not supposed to cross 300 words. At best, you can go 310 to 320. We spare. We don't mind. We ignore 10 to 20 words. But if we look at the essay, if we look at the writing, we can easily understand whether you violated the instruction or not, and you are requested to maintain this. You have to include. Now I am going to discuss the points of this essay. What are the points? The points are introduction. You all know that when you start writing an essay, you have to give the introduction of the essay. You have to introduce the the essay with the teachers or with the readers. So how will you introduce it? You can introduce it in different ways. It depends on the type of essay you are dealing with. You are dealing with an essay which is contrast type of essay. So your writing of introduction will basically focus on the difference between online class and in-campus class. So your introduction will be written in such a way which will focus on the difference between online class and in-campus class. Because look at the next point. What do online and in-campus classes mean? So the introduction and the second point, they are different. If you define what is an online class and what is in-campus class as introduction of the essay, then what will you write in the second point, which itself claims the definition of these two types of classes? So naturally, an intelligent reader or an intelligent writer will definitely understand that the introduction of this particular essay does not expect definition of online and in-campus class, because there is a separate point to define these two types of classes. So your introduction of this particular essay will be focused on the difference between online and in-campus class, because this is basically a contrast type of essay. You can say that despite having having limitations or huge classroom size, still you can prefer the in-campus class. Or you can also say that there may be many types of limitations, still the in-campus class is better. This I'm just telling you the examples. Or you can also say that in-campus class room plus an online class, they are uh, gulf apart, or they are far apart, or they are different from each other in terms of their effectiveness, in terms of their essence, in terms of their beauty, and in terms of their in terms of everything, in terms of interaction. So what I want from you, what the teachers expect from you, that in the introduction of this kind of essay, the focus will be basically on the contrast between these two types of classes. And when you go to the second point, these are basically points, you understand, that you have to include. You have to include means these are points. Well, at this moment, I want to share with you one more thing, that the students are frequently asking questions over telephone, that should we mention the title, or should we mention the points when we write the essay, when we are writing, should we mention the points? It's up to you. You can mention the points, you may not mention it. But if you do not mention the points, you have to divide your writing in different paragraphs, each paragraph dealing with the points mentioned over here. I hope that you can understand what I'm saying. Say you are not dividing this, you are not mentioning points when you are writing this assignment. So if you don't mention the points, what will you do? You will write introduction in one paragraph. You will write what do online and in-campus classes mean in another paragraph. The emergence of online class during the COVID-19 pandemic in another point. pros and cons of in-campus and online classes in another paragraph, and share your experience during the COVID-19 pandemic as examples, another paragraph, and conclusions in another paragraph. Now, you have to divide your essay in different paragraphs if you don't want to mention the points. But if you mention the points, you can do it, no problem. And if you mention the points, it doesn't mean that you have to keep the wording as it is. You can make some changes even in the wording of the phrases. What do online and in-campus classes mean? You may not require to keep it in this format. You can simply shorten it and say uh, uh, definition of online and in-campus class. This can be the wording of the point. I hope you understand what I want to mean. Now, what do online and in-campus classes mean? You understand? Define what is online class. Online classes are those classes which are conducted online using different platforms, as I said earlier, like Zoom, Facebook page, Google Classroom, and other platforms. So these are where the students and teachers are not present physically. So they use their laptops, they use their mobile phones, and thus they conduct the classes, thus they participate the classes. So this is online class. I am not going to talk about the weaknesses and strengths of online classes over here or in this particular point. So what is in-campus class? Classes which are organized in the institution where the teacher is present physically, where the students are also present physically. So this is the traditional type of class, that is in-campus class. So these are the definitions of online and in-campus classes. So in the second point, you will basically define these two types of classes. Now let's go to the third point, the emergence of online class during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is the background. This is the, against this backdrop, the tradition of online classes emerged. The society was not prepared. The world was not prepared. We were not also prepared. The students were not also prepared. And against such backdrop or against this reality, the online classes emerged. And this is exactly what the point is claiming. And when the emergence of online classes during the COVID-19 pandemic, and why did it emerge? It emerged because the government wanted to maintain the communication between teachers and students for many reasons. Firstly, the students should be, kept under, a kind of atmosphere which is congenial to their mental development and mental nourishment and education at the same time. So if you keep the students away from study for a long time, so there will be a kind of indifference, a kind of indifference will develop in them towards reading or against reading. So it's a kind of style, it's a kind of strategy to keep the students connected with learning, connected with education. So this is one of the reasons. There was another reason because nobody knows that how long will this pandemic continue. So if you don't you know make some strategies, if you don't apply some strategies and somehow maintain minimum connection between students and teachers, then they will lose 1 or 2 years from their life, because learning is a part of your life. So if you don't learn anything for long 1 or 2 years, so it's a great loss, not only for the student but also for the country and for the world as well. So you will lag behind 2 years from the original timing or original time of the universe. So against this reality that the students, the teachers, they could not go to the institution, they could not meet physically, they could not organize, classes in the institutions. So that's why online classes emerged. And the government also took initiative to start online classes. Different private organizations, they started their office work also using different online platforms. So every sector of the society, every sector of the country, every sector of the world was affected by this pandemic. So each sector planned their own style in order to fight this pandemic, and education is no exception. So education sector also introduced new methods and new style, new platforms in order to conduct online classes. So this was the reality behind the emergence of online classes. You cannot keep students away from education for a long time. It's a great loss. Obviously, there are some weaknesses of online classes, but still you can make the students and the teachers connected. Pros and cons of in-campus and online classes. Now over here you can tell the strengths and weaknesses of in-campus classes, and you can tell the strengths and weaknesses of online classes. So what are the strengths of in-campus classes and what are the weaknesses? I personally don't find any weakness in in-campus class, and nobody will find any weakness. Some classes maybe there may be some quality classes. There may be some classes which the quality of which may not be up to the standard. But if you compare between in-campus class and online classes, you will always admit that in-campus classes are always far better. And basically, by the word class, we understand an environment where the teachers and the students are involved. There's a kind of face-to-face interaction. And unless there is face-to-face interaction, questions stay unanswered. So, what are the strengths of in-campus classes? The strengths of in-campus classes: the students can interact with the teachers can interact with the students, the teachers can find out the problems of the students, the teachers can solve their problems instantly. There is always the scope of taking tests, there is always the scope of giving results, the evaluation system, examination system, the practical classes, there are different seminars, symposiums. So everything is possible in the in-campus classes, and there are always the positive sides. There are plenty of hundreds of positive sides in in-campus classes. And on the other hand, if we go to what about the weaknesses in in-campus classes? I say there is basically no weakness in in-campus classes, but there may be some classes which have extraordinary quality. There may be some classes the quality of which may not be up to the standard, but that is not the fault of in-campus class. That is the fault maybe belonging to the teachers, belonging to the students, belonging to the institutions incapability, or belonging to the system. But it's not the fault of the in-campus class. It's the fault of things that I mentioned. On the other hand, if we look at the online classes, what are the positive sides? The positive sides are that even staying absent, we can run the classes. We are not present physically, but still we can continue the classes. We can run the wheel of education even at this adverse situation. So this is basically a great positive side of online class. The students can be made friendly with online aspects, because students until we started or introduced online classes, the students had a notion, they had a kind of sentiment that mobile phones or laptops and these sort of things are used for playing games only and watching videos only and doing this and that. But they never realized that this platform or this online can be used as uh, you know classroom. So this is again another positive thing of online class. Thirdly, since you are not able to continue in campus class, so you have only one option in your hand to run the classes. So this is used as an alternative to in campus class. Obviously, you will come with hundreds of arguments that this cannot fulfill completely the missing of in-campus class. I admit it, but still, this is the only alternative using which you can make students and teachers connected and education let going. So let continuing. So this is another point. So even you can take tests using online classes. There are different ways to take tests online in online classes. There are some internationally recognized testing language testing system, and there are different international examination system which are also conducted online. So these are the positive sides. The negative side, I say that since the students and teachers are not present face to face, so sometimes questions remain unanswered. The interaction, the scope of interaction is not up to the mark or is minimum in online classes. And sometimes, there is always the problem in online classes that the classroom, it's not possible to make the online or virtual classroom friendly always, because a classroom has to be a place which is not boring. But sometimes when you participate in the online classes, it may seem boring to the students and boring to the teachers as well, because in maximum classes we speak or the teachers speak and students remain silent. So these are the weaknesses. There are other weaknesses as well, that sometimes we don't have sufficient, you can say, but not sufficient, friendly or effective net connection. So the net connection sometimes stay weak, and it hinders the smooth running of classes. Moreover, sometimes it is to some extent not, if not expensive, still you have to spend money to do or to participate in the online classes. So this is another negative side. But still, there are some negative sides of online classes. But in this situation, there is no alternative except using this, except taking the advantage of online classes. But I admit that it cannot be an absolute an alternative to in-campus class. Now, share your experience during the COVID-19 pandemic as examples. So over here, in this particular point, the students are asked to share their experiences. So how did you experience when you participated in the online class? Hmm. So you can give some examples. So probably the kind of discussion, the kind of issues I have already explained, probably uh, among these issues you have also experienced one or two. And you can say that I experienced the poor networking problem. You also experienced some problems like you could not ask questions to the teachers, you hesitated to ask questions, and sometimes uh, you did not get uh, direct assistance from the teacher, or you required help from the teacher, but it's not possible in the online classes. And you experienced that when you started online classes, there was a kind of enthusiasm in you, but as days went on, you started losing your concentration on online classes. And uh, continuing with the online classes of 3 or 4 or 5 classes regularly, it was costly, and at the same time it was harmful to your eyes, and you experienced some headache maybe sometimes. So these are the kind of examples of online classes. Moreover, you can also say that you expected something from online class and you got it, because the teachers, they tried their limit best to provide whatever they could, or in this adverse situation, to the students. So you are also glad to watch your teachers trying hard to make difficult things understandable and comprehensible to the students. So you can say that the effort of the government, the effort of the institutions, it was praiseworthy. So these are the examples, these are the experiences you can share in this platform or in this essay. And in the conclusion is basically the same thing that you wrote in the introduction, not exactly the same sentence, but almost the same kind of concept to be developed in conclusions, like saying like this, that there are obviously there are striking differences between online and in-campus classes. It's true that in-campus classes are far better than online classes, But considering the situation, considering the pandemic situation, the kind of support online classes are giving, it's okay. But there are differences, obviously, between online and in-campus classes. So this is how you can also conclude your essay. It doesn't mean that what I said, you have to follow it blindly. You can make some changes, obviously. Now, going to basically rubrics. Remember, students, there are um, four indicators: organization, vocabulary, grammar, presenting, comparison. These four indicators will be used in order to assess your assignment. Up to this, I discussed basically on the essay or on the assignment which is given to the students to prepare. Right now, I will share certain things regarding rubrics or marking scheme and banding scale, which is necessary for the students to understand how they can get good marks. So this is more important because what I discussed so far, you can also get these materials or get these aspects from other sources. Now, what I want to discuss and what I want to share with the students, the indicators using which this particular, you know, uh, essay or this particular assignment will be assessed. You will be assessed as the assignment says, as the rubrics say, in terms of four indicators from the point of views of organization, vocabulary, grammar, and presenting comparison. Now remember one thing which is very important to understand, that well, I was talking about rubrics and indicators. Uh, I will discuss rubrics and marking scheme. And before that, I was talking about the indicators in terms of which your essay will be judged. Now, dear students, as I was saying, that you have to remember that your essay will be judged under different criteria, under different indicators. Why? And what is the necessity of rubrics, and what is rubrics, and what is marking scheme? Rubrics or marking scheme, it's a kind of format or structure which is developed in order to guide the teachers to give marks. Naturally, the question arises that, well, your this essay carries 16 marks. Each indicator, I mean organization, vocabulary, grammar, and presenting comparison, each indicator carries 4 marks, highest 4 marks. So if your organization is excellent, you will get 4 out of 4. If your use of vocabulary is excellent, you will get 4 out of 4. If your grammar is fine, you will get 4 out of 4. If your presenting comparison is okay, you will get 4 out of 4. So you may get 16 out of 16, no problem. But why you will get 16? And why this rubrics is necessary? Now remember, unless there are some divisions, unless there are some indicators like these, how will the teachers judge your essay? If you give me the essay, if you write an essay, and if you just give me the essay and ask me to mark your essay, so how will I mark? I am a human being and I have got my subjective, that means my personal likings and dislikings. Every person has his own point of view. And since the teachers are also human beings, they may be biased. They may be, biased to their own likings, their own dislikings. You are writing an essay, you are giving your own points, you are generating new ideas. Those ideas personally I may not like. I personally may like other types of ideas. So this, there is always the possibility and chance of personal likings or subjectivity of a person over the evaluation system. In order to minimize this subjectivity of the teachers, in order to minimize the personal likings and dislikings of the teachers, this sort of rubric or marking scheme or banding skill are developed in order to minimize the problems of subjectivity among different teachers. There are different types of teachers, there are different types of students as well. So sometimes it happens that the students come to us and says that there is not a single grammatical mistake in my script, and still you have given me 6 out of 10. What are the reasons? The reasons are your organization or the coherence that you maintained in your writing is not okay. The reason is that vocabulary or the words you used in your writing are not up to the mark. The reason is there may not be grammatical mistakes in your writing, but the kind of structures you have used in your writing, maybe you are using only simple sentences in your writing. So what about the complex sentences? What about the compound sentences? What about the other types of structures? If you don't use those sort of sentences, can you claim good marks? And if you don't provide sufficient number of ideas, if those ideas are not joined together in a beautiful manner, I mean, organization is not up to the standard, can you claim good marks? This is why, in order to minimize the problem of teachers' likings and dislikings on the evaluation system, this sort of rubrics and marking schemes are developed. These rubrics and marking schemes are always used in the international language testing system. There is uh, banding scale, and there is marking scheme even in IELTS, in TOEFL, in O-level English language test. They always use this. This is new for us. This is new for the students of Bangladesh. This is new for the teachers of Bangladesh. But this is really very much essential and necessary in order to judge the writing skills of the students. You know, the way the rubrics has been formed in this particular, assignment, I personally feel it's a kind of analytic marking scheme. And rubrics and marking scheme is same. There is also banding scale as well. I will discuss one by one. An analytic marking scheme, and there are two types of marking schemes basically. One is analytic marking scheme, and the other is a holistic marking scheme. What is analytic marking scheme? Analytic marking scheme is when a particular writing is evaluated, marked in different indicators, or based on different indicators. Like this one, there are 4 indicators. This is analytic marking scheme. I repeat, when an essay is judged in terms of different indicators, then this is analytic marking scheme. You have got 3 out of 4 in organization. You got 3.5 in vocabulary out of 4. You got 4 in grammar out of 4. You got 2.5 in presenting comparison out of 4. These 4 marks will be added, of these 4 indicators will be added, and then your grade will be determined. And you must have noticed that there is a banding scale is also given in the notice, that from 12, I will show it to you, that 12 to 16, it has got excellent. So that it is divided in 4 bands as well. So analytic marking scheme is when your writing is judged in terms of different indicators or sub-skills, then this is analytic marking scheme, and those marks are added together. On the other hand, a holistic marking scheme is when your writing is judged in terms of overall performance, then this is a holistic marking scheme. But even in holistic marking scheme, there is the scope of preparing a band. How is it possible? I will discuss. In analytic marking scheme, your writing is judged based on different criteria or indicators or sub skills like content, style, organization, grammar, vocabulary, mechanics, and other things. Your writing is just in terms of different criteria. This is analytic marking scheme. This is the best possible way to assess a person's writing. This is the best. There is no doubt of there is no doubt about it. But there are some problems. I will discuss it later. On the other hand, in holistic marking scheme, your writing is not just in terms of so many indicators. Rather, there's a kind of banding scale that you will get 12 to 16 if you fulfill the criteria. What are the criteria? It's written against this mark. So you will get 8 to 11 when if you fulfill this sort of criteria. So this is a holistic marking scheme. And in holistic marking scheme, the marks are not added together. So why these two sort of marking schemes are available and which one are we using or which one you notice over here? You are basically noticing analytic marking scheme because your writing is just in terms of different criteria. So this is the best possible marking scheme or rubrics in the world. Now, positive and negative sides of analytic marking scheme. The positive side, there are plenty of positive sides. The positive sides are the teachers, they remain under pressure. What is the pressure? The pressure is that they cannot mark a script according to their own liking or disliking. They have to understand and they have to identify the weaknesses and strengths of a particular student based on different criteria. There may be some teachers who think that grammar is the only item in writing. So, but with this, attitude in the mind, when they start checking the script, even beautiful content, even beautiful organization, even beautiful vocabulary, they stay ignored. And that student is particularly judged in terms of two or three or very few grammatical mistakes, and he or she doesn't get good marks. So if you maintain analytic marking scheme or if you maintain this sort of rubrics while checking the script, then the teacher doesn't have any scope to deprive the student because of only his weakness in one particular area. So the weakness of one particular area does not affect the strength of another particular area. That is the positive side of analytic marking scheme. And that is the negative side of a holistic marking scheme to some extent. Now, positive and negative sides of in analytic marking scheme, if there are other positive sides as well, that you may be weak in vocabulary, but your weakness in vocabulary will not just make your writing completely what should I say, weak or vulnerable. You may be weak in mechanics, you may be weak in one area, so it will not have the total impact on the writing or on the marking. So a student is judged in terms of his strength in different sub skills of writing. What do you understand? What do you understand a good writing is? A good writing is that one which has good content. Content means relevant ideas and generating relevant ideas. So a good writing maintains the exact style. If you are writing a report, you are writing an email, you are writing a paragraph, you are writing an essay, every writing has its own structure. So if your style is okay, then you are a good writer. So if you can use sufficient exact and appropriate vocabulary, you are a good writer. If you can organize your writing in a particular way, in a well-mannered way, you are a good writer. If you don't make any grammatical mistake, if you use a huge number of structures, different variation of structures in your writing, you are a good writer. If you don't make any spelling mistake, any mistake in capitalization, then you are a good writer. So there are different areas that a good writer has to cover. A good writer is not simply the person whose grammatical flawless or flawness is the only criteria. You may be expert in grammatical accuracy, but that doesn't mean you are a good writer. There are many people who may know grammar, but if you cannot use those grammatical accuracy in your writing, then you are not a good writer. So these are the things, these are the issues which are valued properly in analytic marking scheme. And what about the weakness? There is only one weakness, that if you use analytic marking scheme, it takes a huge time to evaluate an individual script. This is the only negative side of analytic marking scheme. So everything is positive in analytic marking scheme except one, that it is time consuming, because you have to look, no, the way the rubrics of this particular assignment has been designed, how much time a teacher has to spend. He has to look at the writing from different four point of views, and how he will give marks. It is time consuming. On the other hand, the negative side of holistic marking is that sometimes one's strengths remain ignored because there is only the banding scale, I will show there is only the banding scale, that you will get 12 to 16 if you maintain these issues, if you fulfill these issues or fulfill these criteria. You will get 9 to 11 if you fulfill these criteria. In those criteria, the a reflection of all these sub skills are present. It's true, but in holistic marking, the student is not judged separately in terms of different indicators. His writing is just as a whole. So what the teacher observes in a holistic marking scheme, the teacher observes that whether the student fulfills these criteria, then he gives him a particular mark. But the banding scale is there. They also create a band. Why I was talking about IELTS. IELTS also use analytic marking scheme. And remember one thing, banding scale is different from marking scheme. Marking scheme is, I am talking again and again, marking scheme is how many criteria are being used, or how many indicators are being used, or whether the writing is divided in 5, 6 or 7 indicators or subskills or not. If the writing is divided into 5, 6, 7 subskills and marks are also distributed among those subskills, this is analytic. But if the writing is not divided into different subskills, this is holistic. This is not analytic. But banding is always there. Banding is different. So what is we have also got the banding over here. IELTS, they also use, they also look at the writing uh, using 4 indicators, and they use analytic marking scheme style, but they have 9 band. Banding is different, and against each band there are descriptors that if you fulfill these sort of things, then you will get 8. If you fulfill these sort of things, you will get 7. This is how the band. Now I have used it, I have written it, I have taken it from the notice supplied by DG office. I have used, if you write the highest, if you write the best thing, then you will get 16 out of 16. So I copied the descriptors under the criteria, excellent. You will get 4 out of 4. If your organization is strong logical organization according to instruction, organization of your essay, if it is logical, strong logical organization, you will get 4 out of 4. You will get 3.5 out of the 4. Vocabulary, what kind of vocabulary is expected? Uses a wide range of vocabulary with uses of different words without repetition. So repetition is not expected. Unfamiliar word doesn't mean that your vocabulary is rich. Your vocabulary is rich if your vocabulary is appropriate. And if you feel the necessity of using the same word over and again, then you will feel the necessity of synonyms. So knowing the synonyms and using a wide range of vocabulary is always expected. Grammar uses a wide range of structures. We understand by the word grammar that if we don't make any grammatical mistake, we think that our grammar is okay, but it's not true. Your grammar is okay if you can use wide range of structures, simple, complex, compound sentences, and not only that, different types of compound sentences, different type of structures, then your grammar is okay. Presenting comparison, perfect logical presentation of comparison along with connectors. So you have to use the connectors as well. So these are the things, if you maintain, if you can fulfill all these criteria in your writing, you will be termed as an excellent writer according to the rubrics provided over here. Now, I discussed it previously, but still I have kept it here. Why? When you will write your essay, this particular assignment, keep it in your mind, you have to fulfill this criteria. When you will write this, I'm going to the next slide again, introduction, and then there are other points as well. So when you are preparing the essay within 300 words, if you want to be termed as an excellent writer, according to the rubrics provided in the notice board, you have to fulfill this. These are the criteria or descriptors belonging to the, criteria excellent. If you are an excellent writer, you have to fulfill this. Now, look again. If I merge all these indicators under same umbrella, organization, vocabulary, grammar, and presenting comparison for, I am a teacher, so when I will judge the script, so if I want to make it holistic, in order to solve the problem of checking hundreds of copies, if I want to convert the analytic marking scheme to not simply holistic, to a band, this is band. This is banding. I am not violating the analytic style. I have just made it a band. Why? This is excellent. 12 to 16. When I will give the student 12 to 16, I have prepared it taking information from the notice board, from the rubrics supplied in the notice of DG office. I didn't make any change. But I want to convince myself, when I will give a student 12 to 16, if I don't get enough time, to check separately, then it can be another option, that when you will give a student 12 to 16, when strong logical organization is present, when wide range of vocabulary with different words are present, when wide range of structures are present, when perfect logical presentation of comparison along with connectors are present. So dear students, if you want to be termed as an excellent writer, you have to fulfill these 4 criteria in this particular essay assignment. But in the third assignment, there can be some changes in the rubrics. We don't know. But I will give you some ideas about that as well. I personally feel, let's discuss the second one. This is good. So if you want to be termed as a good writer, you have to fulfill these 4 things in your writing, in your essay. Moderate organization, adequate range of vocabulary, mix of simple and complex structures, and a presentation of comparison structures with connectors. So these are the things you have to fulfill in your writing if you want to get good marks. Important issues, but which are missing in this particular rubrics. There is nothing said about the content of the essay, but my personal opinion and my personal suggestion to the students, please, you have to generate relevant ideas in your writing as well. Style means diction, tone, voice, fulfilling the demand of the task. So these criteria may be absent in this particular rubrics of this particular assignment, but you will find these things in the next assignments. I am quite sure, because style is important also, content is highly important, mechanics are also, mechanics means punctuation, capitalization, italics, handwriting, those are also important. And grammar, there is nothing said about grammatical accuracy in this rubric, but grammatical accuracy is also important. If you make grammatical mistakes if you come to us and say, sir, there is nothing said about grammatical errors in the rubrics, so why did you cut marks? But remember one thing, I don't know why is it missing, but it's missing in this rubric. But you have to be punished for if you don't maintain grammatical accuracy. So there are some indicators which are always necessary for getting marks, and I am so happy to see that DG Office has introduced these rubrics in order to assess the writing. I am so happy because we sometimes get puzzled Because you also know, the students also know, that sometimes the same paragraph, if one teacher marks 8 out of 10, another teacher marks 5 out of 10. And we also don't know, we can, if we are asked, why did I give 5 out of 10? We cannot also answer properly what are the reasons. But a teacher is also bound to tell the student, not bound, if not bound, a teacher is morally bound. A teacher is morally bound to make the students understand why did he get less marks. So when the rubrics will be used in order to give marks and assess the writing of the students, the teacher can show the students properly that these are the reasons why I did not give you marks. This is important. Finally, what I want to tell the students, that content has to be fine in your writing. Style, what means the language, the tone, the voice, the format, the structure has to be appropriate. Your grammatical range, that means different types of structures have to be present in your writing, and there will be no grammatical mistake. Organization, that means coherence, is highly important in your writing, and cohesive ties or connectors or cohesion or linkers, whatever you say, are highly important for the organization. The connectors are moreover, but, however, on the other hand. The connectors are like the joints, the wrist, the knee, the ankles of a human's body. An organization of an essay, an organization of a paragraph is similar to a human body. A human body has got some joints. Similarly, a paragraph and an essay has got some joints, and those joints are maintained by cohesion or linkers or connectors. So if the connectors are loose, then the body is loose. So if the organization will not be proper, the necessity of mechanics, punctuation, capitalization, italics, and other things, grammatical accuracy, I said. So if these criteria are highly important for getting marks. So still, I discussed all these issues. Still, if there are any problems, when I will take my next class, I will again discuss the rubrics. I will again discuss the marking scheme, because in every assignment, I hope that a new rubric will be formulated, as I saw in the last two cases. So thank you very much for today's class. See you next. Stay safe.